Hey guys, welcome to another video. Thanks for tuning into this one. And in this video, I believe it is important to start setting expectations for what you can expect in the near future if you are currently in the Speedbird program. Now, I want you to understand that everything I talk about in this video, all right, take it with a grain of salt. And that means believe just only a part of everything I say. The point here is I want you to be able to set your expectations going forward. Know that everything we talk about here can 100% change. So nothing is set in stone. This is just to help you set your expectations. And most importantly, to understand what you are up against. That is what we're going to be talking about in this video. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for tuning in again. The goal of this channel here is to help you achieve your goal of becoming a pilot. And that means helping you prepare for your interviews, helping you ace your interviews, helping you pass your exams, things like that. Those are things that we talk about here. And if you're interested in that, feel free to join the channel. So let's get into it. When you go in for your interviews, as some of you are currently doing, most of you are doing your flight school interviews at this stage. And I know that the next stage you're all looking forward to is the final interview stage. And on the final interview stage, you should expect some things, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But one thing I would say is that the expectations are that the best of the best will make the next cut, if I say that correctly. So that means that they're choosing the best of the best to go to the final. And of course, the best amongst the final list, the final candidates will be selected. And what really separates the best from the other group of people that may not be selected isn't that the other group isn't qualified. I want you to understand that. It's just that when you have a pair or group of people that are really competent, then there's always a slight difference between what sets them apart. And that is why you need to go with the mindset knowing that it is really going to be a very tough and competitive process. It is already, I'm sure you know that already, but even going into the final will be a very competitive one as well. So whatever you've been doing, you've been studying, preparing, keep on doing that. But I want you to have these expectations going forward. Now, going into your final interview, there are four major areas. This final interview, the four major areas that you can expect to be tested on. You have what they call a speedy interview, which is what they called it last year. I don't know if it's going to change this time around. The next one will be like a technical test. And then you have the next one being group exercise. And the last item being what they call a reflective interview. Understand that all this interview assessment things that they do, it's nothing new. All right, these are things that they've always done. They change things here and there every now and then, of course, to make sure that people are really not gaming the system. And that's why I also want to emphasize that just because you've made it to the final this time around doesn't mean you make it to the final next time around. So you have to have that expectations, knowing that these things change on a regular basis. It's good to know what you should expect with a speedy interview. All right, speedy interview, really think about it like speed dating. The idea is that you would be in a room with a group of interviewers and your other colleagues or candidates that are also applying, and the idea is that you would all go to these interviewers and take turns being interviewed. And usually you would spend about maybe 4 to 5 minutes with each interviewer as they ask you questions. And most of the time they ask you, they might ask you, tell me about the time type question. They might ask you scenario questions. And this is why it is very important for you to truly understand the role that you're applying into. If you're not really familiar with the roles of a pilot, how pilots execute or discharge their duties, questions like that are things that you need to be prepared for, because they want to know that you truly understand the role you're stepping into. The other thing I want you to keep in mind when it comes to any speedy interview, all right, is that it can be very challenging because you're in a room filled with other people and you hear this chatter going on, people talking. There's a lot of noise. It's almost like you're in a marketplace and you're trying to focus on the person interviewing you, trying to give them your attention and trying to answer the questions. And if you're not listening well and you're not able to pay attention to what you are trying to say, you're likely to find yourself being distracted and losing your train of thought. And that is why I always encourage you guys to practice. You have to understand that when you practice something, you are best prepared for that thing. So how do you practice for something like speedy interview? You have to understand. Some of my suggestions. I don't know if you're going to be doing this, and that's why I say you should take it with a grain of salt. I'm repeating that again. But here's the deal. When it comes to speedy interviews, right, the best way you can prepare for interviews like that is to simulate it. All right. Flying is all about simulation. We simulate engine failures. We simulate carrying out emergencies and things like that. These drills are there to help you handle the real thing better. And that's the same thing you want to do when you go in for your final assessment. So how do you simulate a speed interview? The best simulation that you can have is to do the real thing, right? That means you're actually in an environment where these things are actually happening. But we can do that for majority of us. You're not really in a place where you can do that. Now, the next point is to cover the technical test. Technical test is technical. Usually I believe, right? Again, it might change. All of this is just, again, take it with a grain of salt. But technical tests generally test for your ability to multitask and your aptitude to flight. All right. And this is where, or flying. And this is where you need to be, if you have Microsoft Flight Simulator, start using it. It will help you. But most importantly, multitasking activities would help you. And your goal is to make sure that you have the ability to practice multitasking, doing mental math. All those factors or practices would help you. The next thing here is the group exercise. When it comes to group exercise, if you've gone through the FTE path already, you probably are familiar with group exercises, and going into this isn't any different. The only difference can be the type of activity you would do, and that is where you need to be able to think outside of the box and apply the knowledge of the industry if it is something related to aviation. But most importantly, generally speaking, when it comes to any group exercise, it's not really about getting the right or wrong answer. It's more about how you're able to collaborate, share information, and make decisions together as a team and resolve any conflicts that may come up. And that is where it is very important for you to do your own part and practice these things over time, and maybe read more about group exercises. I've covered all these topics in my videos, so check them out. Last but not least is the reflective session. Now, understand that the reflective interview really focuses on how you self-reflect, okay? And they will ask you questions that may test your understanding of what you've done throughout the day, what you could have done better, how did you learn, what did you learn, what would you do better, what would you take away from this experience, and all those things. And it is very important that you're able to stay honest and, share the knowledge that you've acquired, the mistakes you made, and be honest about it, right? At the end of the day, all these areas of assessment are testing for competencies. I hope you all know that already. So if you're not familiar with all the competencies, I want you to go take a look at those competencies again and study them really well in detail. All right. Study them really well because it will help you to perform better. If you have found value in this one, of course, feel free to like this video. Please let me know in your comments in the comment section. Let me know how you are preparing, and I wish you best of luck, and see you in the next one.